What's up, folks? Welcome to the Watch and Listen podcast. This is a video podcast all about watches, hosted by me, Matt Farah, and my friend, the master watchmaker, Cameron Weiss, CEO of the Weiss Watch Company, making watches from scratch right here in Los Angeles. This episode of Watch and Listen podcast is brought to you by Crown & Caliber. They are the place to buy, sell, or trade a secondhand luxury watch online, from Rolex to Omega to Patek to Vacheron to Panerai. They have all the good stuff. If you're looking to get out of a watch, trade up, trade onwards, their intake process is very easy. It's as easy as attaching a couple pictures, filling out a couple basic information boxes, and getting a legitimate offer to buy or trade. I have bought and sold to Crown & Caliber, and it is all gravy and legit. And if the watch doesn't work as advertised, they will handle that. They'll fix it, even if it's a vintage watch. You use code CAM150, that's C-A-M 150, CAM150, to get $150 off your first watch purchase at Crown & Caliber. And this episode is also brought to you by Beeline Coffee. I wanted to build up the suspense there. Beeline Coffee is delicious. It is single origin, micro-brewed, delicious micro-batch, roasted, delicious coffee from high altitudes, from exotic places like Ethiopia, Costa Rica, Jamaica, where else we got? Nicaragua. Pick your country. If it's got high-altitude jungles and they grow coffee there, Beeline's got some beans. How about the new smoking tire, the roasted tire 2.0? It's got the Safari 911 on the bag. They've slightly altered the recipe, but it is still fantastic. It's my favorite coffee I've ever drank. Code CHRONO gets you 15% off anything at the Beeline Coffee Store. That's code CHRONO for 15% off anything at the Beeline Coffee Store. All right, on this episode, we've got a man who is a California native. He started out his career working at Quicksilver in his native Manhattan Beach, and then went on to become the 8th ever employee at Facebook and their longest serving employee currently, except for Mark Zuckerberg. I have confirmation this is legit because my fiance works at Facebook. But we're not actually talking about Facebook or Instagram or that today. This is a man who has taste in watches. And by not going overboard with the volume of watches he's bought, he has been able to bring in 6 watches that are some of the most spectacular examples of our topic today, patina and vintage. Patina is what Matt Jacobson is all about, and boy, does he have the goods to back it up. This is one that is worth sticking through. It's Matt Jacobson of Facebook on Watch and Listen. This episode, what you don't know is that I just messed up and recorded 3 wrong minutes. But hello! Welcome back to the show. Cameron Weiss in the studio with good news. Tell us. Drop the bomb, sir.
I'm having a daughter.
Baby girl. Baby Weiss. Whitney Jr. You're thinking about names yet?
Yes. Yeah.
We
have a name picked
is
out.
Farah high up on there?
Farah actually did not come up in conversation. Yeah. But
right.
I'll throw it into the mix and see if Whitney is into that.
And Mr. Matt Jacobson in studio as well. Hello, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm a father of twin daughters, so I'm way ahead of you, Cameron. But
Wow, twins.
When you heard the T word for the first time,
I literally fainted.
It was panic?
I literally fainted because I had no idea. My daughters are now 23 years old, so it was a long time ago. But it's you've got a long haul.
Yeah.
It's a lonely vigil.
The twins thing. A friend of mine just found out that they were having twins recently, and it was panic. I would say she called me in a panic. Yeah, it was crazy.
But it's fantastic. It actually is fantastic. Once you get through the first year, which is a complete blur, it's pretty fantastic.
Well, we are happy to have you in studio. You are a car man, a watch man. You're a tech guy, but we don't want to talk about work today. This is like a reprieve from all that, right?
Exactly.
We're not doing a Forbes interview today. We're talking about patina. We're talking about vintage. Matt is a vintage guy, vintage cars, vintage watches. It's sort of a Malibu, California style, really.
Yeah, I'm a third-generation Southern Californian.
Are you?
Yeah, I grew up in Manhattan Beach. Surfed this
What
morning.
was that
first
like?
first good swell of the summer this morning. Surfed all morning.
Are you one of those guys that we see down in like North Manhattan Beach with the M5 with the surfboard sticking out
Porto.
the sunroof?
Absolutely not.
In Porto?
Kook of the day? No,
Yeah.
that's not me.
No, where can we find you surfing? And what is your surfboard sticking out of?
Luckily, I just walked in front of my house and surfed. But I surfed Malibu this morning, and it was the first good swell of the year, and so nice day.
And I just want to throw down. Here's how Matt's rolling. This is his Volkswagen Squareback. I think this car. I know you're into old Porsche as well, but from the little bit that I know about your personality, this car right here, I think, really says it.
Yeah, the Squarebacks were like, none of us, growing up in Manhattan Beach, none of us could have a bus. Like, that was unobtainable. But Squarebacks were obtainable, and you could.
How much cheaper was a Squareback than a bus? Was that
yeah,
really?
I mean, that was kind of like there was like definitely the Maginot Line between the bus and Squareback, and the Squareback you could sleep in, and you could put boards in it, and it was like that was kind of a proper camping car if you were a.
Did you have one when you were a kid?
No, but my buddy did.
Okay.
Yeah, my buddy did, and we spent many fun surf trips down to San Onofre in that car, and so so many Squarebacks have been were kind of cow looked, rotted, and once you lower these things, it's almost impossible to put them back to stock height because everybody throws the parts away.
Oh yeah, that's
so,
true.
So
it just doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Yeah. So this car was an original car. It was a one owner car, and a guy restored it for his daughter, who of course didn't want it when he was done with it. And
my favorite thing about this car are the window slats, like the Venetian blinds. Yes. And then I don't know if I didn't see a picture of interior, but when I saw it, there's a shelf like where your knees are. It looks super dangerous. Yeah. It looks really, really dangerous.
Yeah, it has a package shelf.
A little package shelf.
Yeah.
Package shelf. Yeah.
And I'm really partial to the Venetians. I just love the Venetian blinds. They're a big deal in Australia. A lot of the old Holdens, because it was so hot in Australia, a lot of cars had them. And there's a guy in Australia who actually will make custom Venetians.
That's so.
And it took forever for him to make these for this and for I have a Type 34 Ghia. Also with Venetian blinds in it.
That's so cool.
It's the little accessories that change the car completely.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's just stuff that even the survivors just don't have ever. The Australia is probably a good place to look for really hot weather items.
Yeah. So again, there's one guy
ozone layer down there.
There's one guy out in the bush who makes these. That makes those.
And so you said earlier, right before I hit record, you were like, "Oh, I want to tell you about." Is this you here with this Benz? Look
That's me. Yeah.
That's is this your Mercedes?
That's
sir?
my Mercedes. It's in Hawaii.
Whoa!
It's on Oahu.
Now this is a Mercedes 123 wagon, also known as a 300 D from. Oh, it's a TE.
TD.
Oh, TD. So yeah, diesel wagon from the 80s that looks like it has been freshly restored, or that's a great Instagram filter.
No, it's just the car is just so many of these cars were terrible colors, and I found this car. It was in Connecticut, and it was
really good
solid.
The right wheels,
they're
usually
gray
wheels.
They're usually yellow or orange or white. And I found this car in that anthracite over tan, and it's just a great car. It's got under 100,000 miles on it, which is nothing.
That's like not even broken in for a diesel.
And especially in Hawaii, on Oahu, there's nowhere to go. Yeah. So it's not like I'm going to put a lot of miles on it there.
Did you veggie oil it? Are you going that way?
No, it's like it's kind of messy. I would like to do that. It's just kind of messy.
A friend of mine in the East Coast has just a veggie oil tank at his house. He doesn't make it. He doesn't fuck around with any of that stuff. A truck comes, fills the tank once a month, and he just pumps his cars in his garage full of it, and that's it.
Yeah,
done.
I like the idea of it.
Buys it by this giant tank worth. But that's an amazing Mercedes.
I like that car.
But you said, tell me about the car that made you love cars.
Okay, so I think it's on that account. It's your
Instagram. I don't know if you just said you don't want to promote anything, but you want to promote Instagram?
Yeah.
MFJ 20th.
Are you getting this up on the screen?
MFJ 20TH. I was before.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I went back. What?
So there it is, right there.
This.
It's a red 61B. That was my first grade teacher's husband's car, and I remember. So it was, I'm old. So mid 60s, I remember this car in Manhattan Beach. He'd pick her up from my first grade teacher, Lucy Tommy. He'd pick her up from school in that car, and I remember seeing it and saying, "My God, that's something."
Yeah.
And so for the last 50 years, I've talked to him about this car. And 2 weeks ago, he called me and said, "You know what? Time to sell the car."
That is awesome.
And so that's
he bought it new?
He bought it new. Bought it new at Vasek Polak, and that's Rod Emery putting it on the Vasek Polak ramp truck that Rod now owns. And so I've had in the last
the most authentic transport that exists.
So it's just for me, like, that was the car. That was the car that kind of started it all off. And I have three 356s, all with great stories. I think I found the Compton car. It's a 55 Pre-A that we found in a garage in Compton 2 years ago. A buddy of mine found, all original car. A year to the day, it was the Friday before Thanksgiving. A year to the day, last Friday before Thanksgiving, I got a call about a 56 Speedster, all original, that was in a garage in Norwalk.
Oh, boy.
There was a one-owner car.
If you're baller enough, you don't even have to do anything. You just sit at home, the phone rings, and it's like the most perfect Pebble Beach ready car.
And the beauty was, it was because they knew about the Compton car. They said, "God, we know you like these original cars. Like, are you interested in a Speedster?" I was like, "My God, like, who, a black original Speedster?"
No, that sounds terrible. Who would want that?
And then this year, finding this.
So this car, so this car from your teacher's boyfriend's car? Is
her husband's car.
Her husband's car. So Rod's loading it up on a transporter, but is it good? Does it run? Is it ready?
It hasn't run in the last time it was registered mid-90s last time. It didn't have carburetors on it. It has no brakes. It was in the middle of a brake job that he stopped 15 years ago. So it's solid.
So are you gonna have Rod fix up the engine, put some brakes on it, and drive it just like this?
Yeah, and if you see the interior photo of the car, it's just...
Is there an interior photo on the gram?
I think there is one. You may not... Yeah, can you... No, it should be... There's two pictures of it. I don't think you can get on the web version. I don't think you can go to the second photo.
If
but the interior
Instagram was... But no, sorry. I'm sorry. If we go to what?
So if you looked at it on mobile, you'd be able to go to look at the second picture of the interior.
Oh, it doesn't let you... Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry.
There you go.
I didn't realize. Yeah, it was a multiple.
Nice.
So the interior of that car.
I love the tennis racket wrapped steering wheel.
So good. So good. And the sheepskins.
Yeah.
And
Is there more?
It's just no, that was it.
Oh, that's just your shoes. Yeah.
That's some sneakers.
And some nice orange Nikes.
And that's my other Hawaii car. That
the Landy,
the D90. Yeah.
Man, I hate Defenders so much. He has one.
I love his.
Defender.
All my friends have these things and love them, and I hate them because I see when you close the door.
Yeah.
You have to open the window.
Yeah, you have to open
take the door off. Just take the door off.
You gotta straighten your arm, right? You're straight out, and then you close the door around your arm, and then you wear it outside like a sleeve.
Yeah.
You have to be svelte like these.
I've had not this car. I had a '97 D90 new, and I owned it forever, and then found this car and the Arliss blue one, and so I swapped out.
Have good taste in stuff.
Well, thanks.
Except for Defenders. I'm just kidding. I have bad taste because I don't like Defenders. I'm in a club of one. Everyone thinks I'm nuts. But
it's kind of I think what it is. It's kind of the it's kind of the platonic ideal of what a car is when you're a kid. If you're going to draw a truck, you draw something that looks like a Defender.
Totally.
It's like a house with it's like the postmodern house you draw that looks like
the
house you drew as a kid.
Yeah. I liked in the 80s, I was all about sidekicks, like Suzuki sidekicks and stuff.
Same
when I was
thing.
a kid. Like
so a sidekick's a mini Defender.
Pretty much. Yeah. Now my obsession, I think, is the Mitsubishi Pajero Evo. And sorry, watch folks, you got to suck this one up for a minute. And what I love about cars are homologation, race cars and stuff.
Right.
And the Mitsubishi Pajero Evo is a 2-door little SUV with a full Evo drivetrain. So the big turbo motor, the crazy center diff, the all-wheel drive system, and it's got big fender flares. And it's a Paris to Dakar homologation vehicle.
That's cool.
And they're right-hand drive, but other than that, it's an Evo shoved under one of these things. Bro, they're like $10,000 to import these things. Nobody wants them. I don't know why, but that is my jam as far as boxy SUVs
and they're all
go.
in Japan?
They're all in Japan. But you want to split one?
My dream.
Let's go.
I spend a lot of time in Japan. I've been, I think, 14 times in the last 4 years, and my dream is to get a Century. Toyota Century.
Dude! Did you see the new one?
Yeah,
They're
but
apparently coming out with a new
But
Century.
the old ones are so great, and
Yeah.
like
The
there's a
V12?
the V12 with the wool interior because the leather's too noisy.
Yeah, or you
And-
get the doilies.
Yeah.
I love that they do these doily seat covers on the cabs. They look like your grandma's dining room table. Oh, it's the best.
But the Centuries are special.
Tell me
There's-
about watch shopping in Japan. Is it worth doing?
I think it's, again, I love, I try to adopt this more of a Japanese ethos around collecting stuff where like I'd rather have one or two great things than a lot of marginal stuff. A lot of good stuff ends up in Japan, watch wise. I haven't bought a watch in Japan, but I see great stuff.
If you're into Seikos, that's where you go.
Yeah, no, the Grand Seiko thing is a thing.
I'm
right?
a big Grand Seiko fan myself. I think they make an unbelievable timepiece.
That Credo watch is super.
Oh, the
cool.
Creedors? Yeah, the Creedors are really, really cool. They're that's like, I call that invisible pimping.
Right.
It's just it looks like, it looks like nothing. It's
Yeah,
like the
nobody knows.
opposite of branding. And they're like 10 grand. It's like, whoa, where did that money
Listen,
go?
I'll take as many as you got for 10 grand.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're probably a lot more. So, Patina'D watches. What do you look for in a Patina'D watch? The story or the colors or what?
Listen, I buy stuff that, like, again, I want to have. I have I keep myself to a really limited number. From a watch, from like a civilian standpoint, it's absurd. From a watch collector standpoint, it's it's pretty limited.
I'm a watch collector. This is a pretty good selection here. Not
but
crazy.
number wise, think about John Ward.
Or Sang.
Yeah, or,
Do you know Sang Yoon?
105 watches.
He's
Yeah,
the father's office guy.
Yeah.
He's a chef. He's a great guy. He's a lot of fun. 105 watches.
Like, see, that would be to me like
He forgets them. He forgets he has them.
I don't want to have cars I can't drive, watches
Yeah.
I can't wear, stuff I don't think about. And so in keeping myself to a really limited number, it's allowed me to keep trading up.
Yeah.
Into kind of the best examples of the things I care about. I really do like original cars. I really prefer original tool watches. And I'm particularly taken by the tropical dials because they're kind of, I brought some examples of tropical dial watches. And what's interesting about it, it's not like they've hit this point where that's as tropical as they're going to get. They're still evolving.
Yeah.
Right, and so
the definition of a tropical dial, and let's pick a good example to start on to show folks. It's when a black,
this
or
is
in this case,
unbelievable
the blue one is so crazy.
The 1665, the double red sea dweller, on the tan strap, right there.
There we
Yeah.
go.
This is really, really cool. Wait, so we need to get our. Can you should we shade it up here? Can we get more shade? Is that more shade? Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it, but
good?
this dial started as black and is now like a reddish, like a rust color almost.
yeah, it's a real dark chocolate brown.
Yeah.
And so it's a double red sea dweller, 1665, and it's a. If you look at the back, it's also have a ghost bezel, which is pretty great.
Yeah, the bezel is like. Can you turn the camera brightness down a little bit, Cameron? Because I think it's a little blown out. There you go. Up, one back. There it is. It's like it's got the bezel is perfectly ghosted. It's like clear. It's like translucent.
It's so cool. And then if you look at the back, what's interesting about this watch, it's a patent pending watch. So this what it's one of very few that Rolex actually released to the market before they'd been issued the patent for
spin the watch 180 degrees, Cameron, so you can actually read. It says patent pending on the case back there.
Yeah. It's a patent. That's the patent for the helium escape valve on the Sea Dweller.
That's super, super cool.
That's a cool watch. But for me, it's just a beautiful watch.
The goal is all right. So sun causes this, right? Sun's water, the elements.
No, not water. I mean, that's
salt.
Cameron will tell you as a watchmaker, that's
it's mostly
that's kryptonite,
sun, right?
It's
That's why
sun.
it's the
It's all
tropical
sun.
dial.
And the thing that's so interesting to me about these watches is the build quality of a Rolex is so outstanding, especially of that era, and it really is. It's a varnish that was used over the dial that actually is turning. So these were this is kind of like the upside down stamp, right? This wasn't supposed to be this way. And when people bought these watches, and if you had this watch turn brown, generally you take it back to Rolex and say, listen, my watch turned brown. I want my black dial back. And the fact that this survived, to me, that's just a great story. So I tend to focus on these ones that are these flawed.
I missed my crack
I
dial.
remember
I had a
when I
spider
was,
dial GMT, and I just
Right.
sold it I sold it at quite a nice profit. And I did not have it for very long, and I made quite a lot of money on it. But you telling this story makes me miss it.
I remember being younger and looking at watch stores, and I saw the blue dial go purple on the blue
Golden.
dial sub,
Right.
and nobody wanted it. It was like ugly back then.
And there's a gold 18 karat 1680 sub there on that boon strap.
Well, this is the craziest thing I have ever seen in terms of a watch fade. I've never in my life seen anything like this. This is a gold Submariner, and a lot of people know that the full gold Submariner comes with a blue dial and a blue bezel, and this is neither of those things.
No, that watch
Does
is
someone
just
less
so
colorblind want to describe the color of this for our audio-only people? I'm colorblind. I shouldn't do it.
I mean, it's really like the perfect fade on that dial where it fades out. And not only did the dial become brown, but the bezel also became brown. But the fade in the dial goes from light to dark and then matches the bezel almost perfectly.
It's like a sunburst Les Paul.
It looks like a
colored-
root beer. It looks like it was made to be that way.
And you can see a little bit of the purple, maybe not on the camera. You can see a little bit of the purple between the 8 and 9.
I don't know if the camera can pick this up. Wait, Cameron, if you...
Yeah, you can see a little
it's
bit of flare.
really, really hard. Right in between the 8 and 9 markers, there's just like a hint of the purple, and you kind of have to like move the watch around to see it. But
Yeah.
that is so crazy. And did you like how did you come upon this watch, Matt? Did
I had
it
it,
just come to you, or
Yeah, no, it was another example of I had a really nice 1680. These watches, I've had so many of these watches for such a long time, and gold subs were not super desirable for a long time. And I had one that was just a great kind of matte dial watch, and then I saw this watch. A dealer who was a friend had it, and I saw it, and I said, my God, I gotta have that. That's kind of the perfect example of what I like. And
it's amazing.
Yeah,
Did this come on the gold strap too?
Yeah, it came on a gold band.
Came on the gold band.
Yeah.
What? How old is this?
So it's probably 78. I think I don't remember the serial number. I think it's 77, 78.
Have you ever seen a more tropical dial than that ever?
That one and the Sea Dweller are pretty.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
the thing about tropical, though, it could go too far or it might not fade evenly. You could have a weird fade to it, or
I guess it's the
some weird
evenness
colors
of the fade,
Yeah,
right?
that's what makes it so perfect.
And then it's the evenness of the fade on the bezel, but also without any scratches on the bezel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how does it get that long without getting scratched?
And the story behind this watch was it belonged to a guy who was a sailor. Had a boat in South America, and he wore this watch every day. He was a one-watch guy and was on the water all the time.
Yeah.
And that's how it. But what it is,
the
I guess,
definition of tropical.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it's the varnish on the dial that's actually turning.
Yeah.
So it's a coating on. So again, this is a flaw.
So at what point does that stop happening? Like when they go switch to the matte dial, or when do they what Rolexes won't fade? Like I know the new ones, like the ceramic Batman.
Well, you
and
don't
stuff,
really
like,
know. The
they're
ceramic
not
will
supposed
not
to fade,
Yeah,
right?
the ceramic bezels will not fade.
But the dial might.
But the dial may have issues, and you also don't know from batch to
This
batch.
one's not fading. I don't think this dial has faded on my Submariner, although the bezel is definitely faded. I wore this for like 10 years.
Yeah,
And
because those are the
this
that's an
green
aluminum
has a pretty
insert.
good fade.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's got one scratch on it that drives me nuts.
all right.
Oh, I don't give a shit. I mean, well, it doesn't drive me nuts actually. It drives me nuts because it keeps it from being perfect like those.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these are not perfect. I mean, again,
They're pretty close, bro. Some close. Oh, this one's kind of dinged up. This one is amazing though.
well, I brought that watch. I thought that's not a tropical dial. That's just a well-worn Patina'D, and a pretty interesting watch. So that's a 6536.
Oh yeah.
With a red writing on it. So
Amazing.
I see patina as being sort of like evidence of sort of careful use, but like, you know what I mean? Just like kept in use its
These
whole
were
life.
tool watches. These were not. I mean, somebody bought this watch in the 50s, you know, and used it for what it was meant to be used for. It just happened to have the red writing on it. I can't remember, Cameron. Is that meters first?
Let's see.
How
Yep.
when you're wearing
Yeah,
these
meters
watches,
first.
which are obviously, you know, it's the condition of them that makes them, you know, as valuable and as special as what. Or how careful are you when you wear them? Do you sweat it or not so much?
Not so much.
Well, you take out the trash and you do errands
Yeah.
wearing a nice watch. It doesn't bother you?
No.
I like that.
No,
The
it's
mental freedom.
I'm just I think about like I'm just the custodian of this stuff for like this moment in time,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna go. Somebody else will have them after I do, and like I don't want to. I want, if I can't wear this stuff, I've had cars that I can't drive, and
Really, what car did you have that you
I
couldn't
had
drive?
a 300 SL Roadster.
Why
an
couldn't you
original-
drive it?
Because it was an original car. I had it with a partner, and he didn't want to drive it. I'm like, you know what? This thing is like, it's
Just
more
took up a
trouble.
lot of space.
Took a lot of space. You couldn't drive it, and like, what am I going to do? Hang on to it and give it to my daughter so they can't drive it? It's like, so you know, they don't want it.
Yeah.
So stuff like that I can't use, to me is meaningless.
It's tough, and especially like, you know, you live in Manhattan Beach, I live in Venice. We are constrained by space. You know what I mean? If space with cars, especially watches, it's easier to, you know, you fit 1 million of them in a shoebox. But you know, with a car, if you're not going to use it, a car in Manhattan Beach or in the west side of LA is a big hunk of stuff to sit around.
Yeah, and you know, you don't use them. I mean, that is the beauty of air-cooled cars. I mean, the fact that you don't, you know, they're not. There's not a water pump.
Yeah, you can drive them in traffic and they don't act up.
Right.
And, you know, light clutches and that sort of thing. Good
But,
for LA.
Yeah, so I again, I wear all of these. You know, I have a couple. I have a Bakelite GMT that's got a fragile bezel. And people are like, oh my God, how can you wear it? And like, what does it mean? And the fragility. I'm like, you know, if I can't, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have it in a box.
Well, you're fortunate that you don't have to think of this as, well, I paid, you know, whatever for this, and I need to see every penny of that, and if I don't, it's a big deal, you know. So there's a lot of people that get really in with watches and really worry about every investment dollar, you know, and it's a tough way to think about anything that gets used, whether it's a car or a watch or whatever.
I've been buying watches for a long time, and most of these I've owned for a really long time, and so my basis in them is really low.
That's money.
And so
Literally.
I don't like, again, I think of them as being like, you know, I don't think with the current, I don't treat them differently with the current value versus what the value at which I acquired them, right? So I brought, there's the other thing that's interesting, I brought a later, there's a sub,
This sub is
5513.
This sub is the black one.
Yeah.
Is particularly awesome.
So I think this is something that I think are just interesting. I just noticed this as a dealer who I'm good friends with in town named Bob Marin, and Bobby and I were like talking about these watches. Okay, this is the last of the plastic crystal, you know, no date subs, and all with gold surrounds. And every one we've seen in this kind of range of serial numbers, the lume plots have turned this pumpkin color.
Yeah.
So there's something about this watch which I think is a real. I mean, again, this is not a super valuable watch. It's just a really pretty watch.
Yeah. And at that time, Rolex wasn't making their own dials. They
Right.
hadn't bought the dial manufacturer yet.
Right.
So they could have had smaller batches, and they weren't in control of the
Right.
varnishes that were used to mix that to mix the actual lume. So it could change from batch to batch. Little details like that. But someone who deals in watches like Bob, he'll see more volume, and he
Right.
can start to kind of come up with this serial number range or year date things and figure like, oh, all the blue dials from this time period were having issues, but only if they had like the small nipple dial that like this one has here, where you have a small lume plot rather than a big lume plot. If you look at the lume on the two of these, one has a big lume dot and one has a small lume dot with a big gold surround.
Sort of modern one.
Yeah.
But gold surround. So that's like the last of the gloss dial, you know, 5513s before sapphire crystal. So I just thought that was a cool watch. And again, I mean, these are one of these things like, you know, this watch was kind of in my neighborhood, and a guy said, "Hey, I know you like these old watches.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And
I know you like these old watches. Here's an amazing, perfect one.
but I think again, it's not just stuff from the 50s like that 6536. It's cool to see stuff from the early mid 80s.
Yeah, some of that stuff has some nice patina on the loom, and even the spiderweb dials.
Well, that's where the spiderweb dial was. That was like an 83, 84.
Yeah, I think that's stuff's good. And again, for me,
the long E's, the errors.
Yeah.
Are you a long E fan?
I had a long E GMT that a guy that I work with just had to have it because of the long E. I'm like, you know what? Like, this is just stuff.
I don't think there's a single nerdier conversation that you could have with someone than trying to explain to them why your Rolex is a long E. People roll their eyes at you so fast.
Yeah.
No, it gets to be pretty inside baseball. For sure.
super. It's like 911s. Like no.
Right.
Mine has leather covered fuse box. You don't understand. Let's exit the Rolex train for a second.
There's still one other good Rolex that we should look at, which is
the
prettiest one.
We're gonna come back to that one. Don't worry.
So
refocus here.
You can get tropical on some other things. Here's an AP. Cameron, what do you think, buddy?
It's gorgeous. So this
Cameron knows. He worked at AP. Saw a lot of APs.
Yeah, I saw quite a few of these actually. That I tried to keep the names of the people that had them because there were some very nice ones that came through. But just a really cool watch.
So the dial started out as black, and it's got the waffle pattern. I'm sorry, Cameron can say the real name of it. What's it called? The pattern.
What is it? Patisserie, right? Or no, not patisserie. Tapestry. It's tapestry dial. So it's it looks like a waffle pattern, but it's created with a machine that is a mix between like a guilloche machine and a pantograph. So it's following a larger example of that waffle pattern, but it's cutting it into the dial like a guilloche in a circular pattern. Right. So it creates this really nice faceted effect on the dial. But the big thing about these was the AP at 6 o'clock was applied, and it's a super thin watch, and the AP was only applied originally. So watches that were serviced because of the fading of the blue color, which is anodized on there. When that faded, AP would replace them, but they no longer made the one with AP at 6 o'clock. It was just a painted on AP.
This one is just all about surviving the AP service process.
Exactly. Or not having gone to AP for many years. I don't know if they would allow you to keep a dial that was fading.
Really?
Now they will, but at that time they might not have, because it could be some flaking issues, particles coming off and getting into the movement, and they wouldn't be able to warranty the work on the movement if there was parts, little flakes coming off of the dial.
But I think it's just
it looks awesome. It's faded to like a gray.
Yeah.
Do you see other colors in that? I see gray.
Initially it was like a bluish gray color,
Uh-huh.
and then they fade, and then some of them, the brass will start to come out from the center, the gold color. You can kind of see it.
Yeah, that's have a copper color.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a copper color on the waffle pattern.
That's awesome. And is the bezel, and so what year is this from, give or take?
71, 72.
So is the bezel just sort of worn down a bit over time? Is that it? Or was it always a little bit of a softer edge on that than the hard edge bezels?
No, I think it's pretty sharp on that one, right?
Yeah, this one's actually really quite sharp for these. At that age, I mean, not only just the wear from shirt cuffs and things like that,
right?
But when they're polished over and over again, you can have the screws start to stick out a lot because they're actually
because they take them out and polish the piece on a straight grain and then put it back together, so the piece gets thinner and thinner, but the screws are the same
might not
size.
Get thinner. So that's one thing you can look for to see how true the bezel is. But if you don't have really specialized equipment to polish them, you won't get as round of the corners won't be round with a flat top. You need really specialized equipment to be able to properly polish one of these. But this one's really nice and doesn't look like it's been polished away that much.
I've never, and I've been buying Rolex sport watches since I was in college, right? And
so thin.
And
right?
I've never had a watch serviced by Rolex.
No?
I've never sent a watch. I only get watch.
Do you want to plug your guy?
No, I only get watch serviced when they break.
Yeah.
And they rarely break.
Oh yeah, so you mean you've never sent
don't do-
one in for a regular service?
And
You've
these, I
sent
don't think Rolex would even service these.
No.
Rolex has a pretty strict cutoff, so a lot of the vintage stuff they're not going to service.
They only. So I mean, look, I've told the story in this podcast 4 times. My dad bought a Submariner brand new in 1990, never serviced it, and wore it every single day for 27 years until he finally it finally stopped working, and he sent it in, and it was $1,000 to fix. And I think the service was $750 if he
Right.
So he saved on not doing 4 services. It was, you know what I mean?
It's like I don't do prophylactic service of my watches, right? It's like if they're broken, then I'll get them running again. But I don't.
But the scare isn't there this fear of it could if one thing breaks, it could take other stuff down with it that could be much more expensive than. Cameron, can you speak to that?
Yeah, it could. Let's say, for example, you have an automatic, and you've got that automatic, and it hasn't been serviced in many years, and the axle on Rolex actually had this issue where the axle would break free, the rivet would loosen, and then the weight would be spinning, and it wouldn't be above the movement spinning. It would actually be dragging along all the bridges.
Oh yeah,
and scratching the bridges. And people would bring them in like, I hear a weird sound now, but I just kind of let it go for a few weeks, and all the bridges could be they'll still work, but they'll be very, very ugly, and it probably would hurt resale value if you care about that. Things like that usually are the issues. Oil, though, on the escapement, you could have things like worn out jewels, and for certain watches, if you wear out pivots in the escapement, you're not going to find a new escape wheel or a new pallet fork or something like that for some vintage stuff.
right.
And then you're looking at buying a parts movement, which
Right.
could be thousands of dollars for a vintage watch in order to take that one part out of it and put it in your watch.
Yeah,
So it depends on the watch.
And
how
you know
wanna
guys that
service
are,
it.
I know guys that are holding parts now, and the thing that's great is you could have a snap-on box full of parts, that's like incredibly valuable because
Yeah.
no one else has them. So,
Yeah.
hands, movement pieces. I mean, and now those parts have become very hard to come by. And
Even
so,
takeoff parts.
Yeah.
The guys that took off the faded hands.
Oh,
hang
man.
on
You
to 'em.
know, and
If
just
you were like the Omega
watchmakers hold on
repair
to
guy and
everything.
just pocketed all that shit.
Yeah.
I hear Omega will not leave will give you all like if you have a vintage Omega, like that they'll replace all your shit if you service an Omega.
Yeah,
That's what I've heard
you have
on
to
the
be very
forums,
careful.
So
Yeah, always watch out at service centers.
I have a good local guy here in LA. Shout out to Marina Bay Watch Company. They service all my stuff. They're great. Very happy to have them.
But I think I love I've had a Nautilus, a 3700 Nautilus, which also designed by Gerald Genta, who designed this watch. And I think this is I just think this Royal Oak, the Series A, is just such a beautiful watch. It wears super well. It was such a weird, both the 3700.
There's the 3700A.
Yeah, both the 3700 and the Royal Oak Series A were just so, that was just such a crazy watch in the early 70s. You think about what that was like. When, there were steel sport watches and there were gold dress watches, and these two things kind of came from outer space, that were expensive in steel and considered to be a sport watch.
Yeah,
I
I think when they were released, the AP was like $7,000.
Yeah.
In steel, just a steel
What
sport
was-
watch.
yeah,
And this was when
What
it
was
had
a
to be
Rolex
gold
like?
to be fancy.
Not even $1,000 at that time, probably, right?
I think a Rolex was like $250.
Yeah.
$300 maybe.
Daytonas were $500 maybe.
Yeah.
I remember going to an IWJG, which is the International Watch and Jewelry Guild show, in 1989, I guess. 89, 90, whatever the first year of the Zenith Daytona.
Okay.
So was that 89?
I don't know the year.
Probably
on that.
80, 89.
Late 80s.
Right. In Detroit, in Dearborn. The IWJG is the kind of trade group it's a B2B group, and I went with a guy who was a dealer, and I remember walking in there, and new Daytonas the MSRP was $2,250, and I could still see in my head box after box after box of Zenith Daytona sitting there, and everybody's saying, listen, there's no way anybody should pay retail for these. You should only buy them if you can get them for $1,600-$1,700. And think about that now. I did buy one for $1,800 at that show,
Really?
but
Nice.
and thought I scored because I paid under retail, but it was a different time.
That's Wait, go back to that let's go back to that AP. That is really nice.
Actually, I serviced one of these before, and the guy had worn it every single day. He skied in down in Chile. He would ski wearing this watch outside, whacking it on everything.
Outside of his jacket?
Outside of his jacket. He had it like exposed.
That's crazy.
And it was getting whacked by trees, hit on rocks.
That's funny.
He had worn out the bracelet really bad. If you get dirt in the bracelet and then it's constantly moving around in there, it's like gritty sandpaper kind of stuff. Yeah. It can wear out the bracelets, but this one's really nice and tight.
There's a my wife actually wears she has this is what 30 is this 39 millimeters? I think 39.
The jumbo is 39, the true jumbo that everyone's looking for.
And the next size down is 37, which is pretty close. There's a 37 millimeter automatic version of this watch, and I think they're an incredible value. I mean, again, it was a very similar tropical dial. Bought it on Instagram. The guy posted on Instagram and bought it for under $10,000, and I think that's an amazing. I think these are good. These were good value. Now it seems like they're expensive, and this little bit smaller one is cool.
A friend of mine just got the brand new like blue dial chronograph one. It's pretty sweet.
Yep,
pretty sweet.
The chronograph is nice. It's the Frederick Piguet movement in there.
Yeah.
So it's not like an ultra thin or made by Audemars Piguet movement.
Wah wah.
But it is very nice and has all the case finishing.
Let's go. Let's go to this because this is some extra fresh right here. This is the Daytona tropical dial.
Yeah, I just think that watch is so pretty. I just saw it, and I actually had a watch that a guy really, really wanted, and I didn't want to sell it. And I said, but I found this watch that I think is incredibly beautiful, and if you could get it, I'll trade you for it. And so he did.
I think it's amazing that the case is like really, really mint on that. That is so nice. And the black dials are like the tan that matches the leather strap. Like they're so light. It actually does look like it matches the strap, doesn't it? That's so crazy.
Listen, this shit didn't happen by accident, man.
And that's one of Nick's straps, right? Huh? One of Nick's straps?
Is that an Hermes? I think that's an Hermes strap.
I think this is the Hermes leather, right?
Yeah, that's an Hermes. That's one of Nick Guerraro's straps because it has that's an Hermes strap on the Double Red Sea Dweller, and that's one of Nick Guerraro's straps with the.
And that guy makes straps for Cameron.
Yeah.
He's honestly one of the sweetest, most lovely gentlemen you could ever meet. Been a friend of mine for 20 years. Just a wonderful, lovely guy.
Yeah.
So what do you think about what's sort of happening now with people faking faded bezels and doing pretty much everything they can to fake what your watches have achieved here for real?
I mean, I always tell people like you're buying the dealer as much as you're buying the watch. And I just don't know, to me, that's obviously bad and fraudulent and uncool, but I don't know that if it's as prevalent as, I don't know. I guess if it was easy to fade a bezel insert, everybody'd be fading bezel inserts.
I think it is, and they are. I think that. I mean, that's how the people that I talk to are.
I'll put this one up here because this is my watch.
Okay.
This one here, the dial is actually a redial. Okay. Redialed to look old.
Okay.
So when I got this watch, I didn't really like the look of the actual dial. It was way too.
I like when he brings the receipts.
He's bringing the original.
You have to keep the original dial.
That's what the receipt is. Yeah. The receipt is the original dial.
So here's the original dial, and it was just so far gone. I couldn't keep it in the watch. I didn't like it, but I kept the dial, and I bought a separate dial, so same dial but not a nice one, and had it redialed, but had them actually put on old colored lume, so it looks old.
Cool.
Neat.
But it's still technically a redial or fake dial or whatever. but I have the original
Well, look,
if I ever want to put it in there.
You're not going to ever sell it, and B, if you did, you'd probably be totally upfront about those things. Which
Yeah, well,
I don't think
you'd get both dials.
Right. Well, I think the thing I'm talking about is
Yeah.
that it's
The people who are
pretty easy. I think I'm not a scientist, but people who know tell me that it's easy to fake a ghosted bezel.
I guess maybe there's
acids or
some
whatever.
quality control companies that have those machines that are blasting 50 years of UV rays at something all at once.
Yeah.
Get one of those machines.
Laser UV thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm lucky that a lot of these watches I've owned for a while, and the ones I haven't either come from the family, that owned it, or from a dealer that I trust who reputation is everything, right?
Yeah.
So there's Howard Frum in Chicago, who I've been dealing with since the late 80s when I lived in Chicago. And, that's just, he would never do anything like that. But I guess
that's your guy.
Yeah, Howard Frum and Bob Marin. So,
well, I guess if you're buying the dealer, just have a good one.
Yeah, I think that's really the point. I tell people that all the time. Especially, I'm an incredible enabler, right? Because I want to see everybody get great stuff, and so I want to see people get great stuff and from great dealers and hold it and love it. And so I don't think it's binary. Like I want everybody to have cool shit. So,
all right, here's the pop quiz question. You've got two 6-watch cases, 12 watches. The 6 you brought here are all pretty goddamn awesome. You find the next greatest watch. You find something that is as cool as that golden sub there. What do you kick out of the case?
Something's got to go.
What's the out? How do you decide what's going to go?
None of these would go.
Is this your A case that you brought over?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is because I I have a couple other pieces I wouldn't sell. I've got a Patek 2526,
unless you found like a better example of that
but
watch.
But I probably won't. That watch was owned by one guy since the 50s.
Wow.
White dial.
I don't know
a white gold.
Is that what this is?
White gold 2526.
A white gold.
Yeah.
Like that?
That one. That's my watch.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that's my watch.
Oh, from Hodinkee.
Yeah.
That's from you. It's very pretty. Is it as small as I'm thinking it is?
I think it's 36 millimeter. That's a pretty perfect watch. But I wouldn't sell that watch. But yeah, I mean, listen, that's my filter. Like I won't buy it unless it's better than something I have.
Right. Did you get sentimentally attached to your first watch or anything like that?
No.
I think maybe it's just me then. I don't know.
I have this. I mean, I have the sub that I had in college.
Oh, so yes.
I still have it.
But would you kick that out of the box?
Yeah, maybe. It's like, yeah. I mean, probably.
All right.
I mean, listen, I'm not. There is no kind of. I'm really stoked with the things I have. It's not like there's not a thing I'm looking for.
Right.
And like what happens is these things kind of, if they come into like my life.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity to get them, then cool. But I'm not like, there's no great search. I can't tell you anything. Like, if only I could find this thing.
Right.
Like I didn't know
Tesla flamethrower.
No. I didn't know the 62. I mean, listen, I wasn't looking for the Speedster when I found it. I wasn't looking for the original Pre-A coupe when I found it.
Yeah. You were looking for your teach's car.
Yeah. For 50 years, I chased that guy around for 50 years around Manhattan Beach till he finally relented. But that 6240 Daytona with the brown subdials, like I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
Right. And then I saw it, and this guy really wanted this watch I have, and he wanted it so badly. I totally got it. I said, listen, I just don't really want to sell it, but I'll trade you.
What did you trade him? I forget.
It was just a great old sub.
Okay.
And it spoke to him, and I said, my God, like you're so passionate about it, like you should have it. But like I don't even know what to charge you. But if you can get this watch, I'll trade you. So he did.
That thing is awesome, man. That is a brown tropical. Whew, that's awesome. I'll counterpoint the entire patina argument. I'm kind of a klutz, and I would destroy any of those watches. I'm not that much of a klutz, but I wear my watch on my right hand because I'm lefty, and we live in a watch on your left hand world. Handrails, walls, my watches get whacked into stuff. So I've adopted the policy that I'm gonna buy watches new or close to new, and then just keep them for a long time and make my own patina.
Why don't you get you get sweatbands? You can put them over.
Put them over the watches.
The
biggest problem is in my own house. I have a hand railing in my own house that, like, I have one of those stairs that goes like, and it runs the whole length of my kitchen, and not a week goes by that I don't smash a watch into that railing.
I'll tell you the great secret for me is I use this, and Cameron, you probably know how it works, but Cape Cod cloth.
Yeah.
Which is like on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's fantastic stuff. It has you cannot feel any abrasive in it, but there is nothing better to clean scratches off a stainless steel watch.
Really? This stuff right here?
Yes, than Cape Cod cloth. And
sorry, pop-up window, folks. Cape Cod cloth. It's $4.
And if you can buy a can of it you can buy a lifetime.
And this is good.
You can buy a
for
lifetime supply
watches,
for $20.
But it will not. It's not like polishing where it's too abrasive.
I mean, it must in order to polish it, it must be removing something.
Yeah, it's so minor though. Such a fine, almost like what they use on the crystals. Such a fine paste that it skips that whole really strong abrasive process.
But I'll tell you, any plastic crystal watch, you use Cape Cod cloth, and it's like, it's
on the crystal or on the metal or both?
Both.
Oh,
awesome. It's on all of it.
Well, all your crystals,
and it smells
acrylic
good.
crystals are.
Yeah,
it smells
vanilla.
good.
It smells really good.
Yeah.
All your acrylic crystals are really, really clean. I was gonna ask you actually how you keep
Cape
them so
Cod
clean.
cloth.
That's it, huh?
That's my secret.
I'm gonna order up a bag of that right now.
Yeah, I was telling Cameron, a lifetime supply for $20. I think a can of it.
That's awesome, man. Love it.
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but it is definitely I've never had a watch polished. I've never had a watch serviced prophylactically, as I said. I've had watches repaired that stopped working, but it's pretty rare. And I think the other thing is that's also the benefit of having not too much.
Yeah.
Right? Because I end up wearing them all, which is what keeps them going.
Yeah. I'm gonna adopt your policy. I have a 10 watch box right now, and there's absolutely no reason that there needs to be more. There needs to be a strict 1 in, 1 out.
I have my policy is don't sell.
Right.
So the problem is you have to be very careful what you buy if you're never going to sell something, because if you add too much, then you've got too much. But
it's
you just have to buy slowly.
It's great to let stuff go. Like I have no, this is just stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I have not that I love these things. It's beautiful. Like they're little tools and they speak to me, but it's just stuff. So I don't get, oh my God, like the thing that got away. And you know what? If I'm done with it, I'm kind of like, it's gone and I'm on to the next one. But
it's a good way to look at it, man. It is. It's a nice way to look at it. Before we wrap this up, we get people submit us neat watch related products to check out. And this one I found on Instagram and I thought it was cool. And this dude wanted to send in. These are called merino straps. And it came in this nice little box here. But this is a strap.
It's like a wool strap.
It's made of wool.
Wow.
Merino wool.
Yeah, merino wool. And I thought, I don't know.
Feels like a felt or something.
I've been looking for a fun strap to wear in the summer, because I like wearing these watches in the water, and you can wear this in the water and it will dry out really quickly. Yeah.
It'll keep your wrist warm even when it's wet too.
It's also fireproof for 1 inch of your wrist. Yeah.
Really?
And it'll smell like a
wool
dog.
is mildly fireproof.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because I ran into that. Somebody was wearing our watch in a race car.
Yeah.
And I guess it wouldn't be approved if it could burn, if it was flammable.
If you should A, make an optional Nomex strap, and B, rock wool. I'm surprised one of those car-themed watch companies that you roll your eyes at isn't making Nomex straps. But I don't know.
Alcantara.
Yeah, right. This wool seems like it's really soft and fuzzy, and it actually has a little plastic tube, at the end of it. Wait, can you see? So your pin goes through a sort of a rigidy
little
tube.
extra support.
Yeah. I don't know how much they cost. I have no idea. Merino straps.
It looks good.
But it's got it has a higher end buckle on it that it comes with.
Like a Patina'D style.
Those buckles to buy alone are $13-$14 if you buy them. And I'm kind of stoked to try it out. I'm going to throw it on my Seiko and wear it in the ocean.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the suede straps.
Totally.
A little fuzzy.
Yeah.
Extra.
I don't know. What do you think,
Change
Matt?
up in
You're
texture.
a man of taste.
What do you think?
I
love it. I think
kind of
it's
neat,
cool.
huh?
Yeah, I love that.
I think it's a fun summer strap. Or it
I
could be a good warm winter strap.
It'd be wild when it gets wet. I think aside from being soggy and probably smelly, but
you probably have to let it dry out in the sun, maybe.
Yeah. So no, but it's definitely. Listen, I like that people are just doing cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
It seems to be a renaissance in terms of like original type watch products. People send us really cool stuff. We get straps from Icelandic reindeer and now the felt, and there's dudes making some really neat new small independent watches. In fact, as soon as you get out of here, we're recording a whole show with someone else about independent watchmakers. That's going on right
listen.
now.
You know, I have a little surf brand that I own, and we did a collaboration, the Birdwell Beach Witches watch with Cameron, and you know, it was perfect because we're the last board shorts that are made in America, and we wanted the brand has been an American brand.
Right there, the Birdie watch.
There it is, designed and built here in LA by Cameron, and we just had this notion of doing it, and we talked about it, and there you have it, and
the white,
and we sold them out in 6 hours.
Is that what was it? 6
Yeah.
hours?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so awesome. I gotta get on the next train. Is there another one planned?
It's possible.
You'll have to wait and see.
Do you have any extra of those hands laying around, Cameron? Can you swap my wife's watch with just those awesome the California hands? It's got like a hang loose and then
That'll be
yeah.
one of those things where maybe 50 years from now we'll get some patina on the arms. Maybe his arms have got some tan going, and the original ones.
Let's find one of those UV lights and fake age one and see how it goes.
Yeah, there's Nodis wearing his. That
Super
was like we had a
cool.
lot. Remember, we had fun because we worked with Cameron. We were trying to figure out how to differentiate the minute hand from the hour hand.
Yeah.
So we'll do a shaka for the hour hand.
Yeah.
So get Birdie throwing a shaka.
That came out great. Where can you buy those britches, Matt?
Birdwell.com.
Birdwell.com. Made in America, California. Made in California.
Made in Santa Ana since 1961.
Nice. Thanks for coming in, man. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thanks for having me.
And for bringing all these amazing watches. I want to plug your Instagram, which is MFJ. 20th MFJ20TH. And he's got pictures of watches and cool California lifestyle shit. Yeah.
Ben Clymer there.
There's
You know?
Ben. What is happening with this
Oh,
bracelet?
this is a good
What is
story.
this bracelet?
Okay, so I was at the International Pen Show, which happens to be in Manhattan Beach every year. Fountain Pen Show.
That's a thing?
It's a thing.
When is that?
It's in February.
Oh my
It's
God.
President's
I have
Day.
to go.
It's President's Day weekend, and it's like, again, I love tribes, right? And the Penn tribe is a really interesting tribe. And a kid that I grew up with, who's a retired fireman, who's a watch dealer now, and it's a really great. We've been friends. My parents and his parents were friends. We've known each other since we were little. And he showed up at the Penn show, and he had like a two-tone Datejust on this band, and it looked terrible. And I said the band is so dope.
Yeah.
Like it's so 70s. So then I picked it up. And the thing that was crazy is those asterisks are 18 karat gold. And
Like it looks like it looks like reindeer like sleigh bells.
yeah,
on a,
and so
on a
the
watch
thing
strap.
was like this chunk of like this Latigo leather with 18 karat gold asterisks on it. And so I said, listen, if you don't sell this watch at the Penn show, which I knew he wouldn't, I said I got to have the band.
Oh my!
And
God.
he goes, "Well, I just
it looks
bought it."
good on the GMT.
Yeah, and it just
GMT.
looked so dope. I thought it was just so cool.
Is that watch still on that band?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just so. I mean, it's so rad.
I need to know about this Penn show. What else? What kind of things do you find at the Penn show?
Oh, like there's a lot of pens. There's a lot of watches. There's a lot of like lighters. You know, yeah, the LA Pen, Los Angeles International Pen Show, right
Los
there.
Angeles International Pen Show.
There, and it's right in Manhattan Beach, and
Does it all fit in this one room?
It all fits in that one. And I will tell you that this year was the biggest, like most crowded I've ever seen it. And I've been going to the thing for 20 plus years. And there were more young people who care about like pens.
Yeah, hipster's life,
Like-
dude. Hipster life.
And like, you know, again, I'm such a nut. Like I care. I only use Aurora. I use a fountain pen. I use Aurora blue black ink.
You do use a fountain pen.
Yeah.
Like, do you carry a fountain pen and a jar of ink with you?
No, I
Okay.
do. I used to have a travel inkwell, which was really.
I serviced a guy's watch once, and when he signed the paperwork to sign the watch over for service,
He pulled out a fountain
pulled out a
pen?
fountain pen in Audemars Piguet, and he signed it over with the fountain pen.
Just like,
and I'll never forget
my
that.
God.
Yeah.
It was the coolest thing I
There's
had
a
ever
guy. There's a guy at this show every year who actually is a guy who adjusts nibs. So he adjusts the nib to your
Yeah.
hand. So you
Let me guess. This guy is 79 years old.
No, he's actually. It's crazy because he's not that old, and it books up weeks in advance if you want to get time.
Wow.
If you want to get time with him at the show.
Listen, you want me to touch your nibs? Wait in line to the left. Make an appointment.
But the
right, the nib wears differently.
Yeah,
correct?
based on how your hand.
Yeah.
And no, I'm like, again, that's my this kind of stuff is my kryptonite.
That's
So
I would love to go to the pen show. Do they have like really nice ballpoint pens and stuff as well, or is it all fountain pens?
no, it's like there's all things writing there. But
Right,
I was
so it's not like going to like a real watch
ink.
show
Look,
and asking for quartz.
There's a selection of ink. If you
Yeah.
go back one.
I mean, there's a lot really happening with
And
this.
people getting ink all over their hands. But no, that watch band came from.
Don't tell
the
John
pen
Ward
show.
about any of this shit. I'll be down another fucking rabbit hole for 10 years. You seen his wallets? Our friend Jonathan Ward
Oh yeah, I know. John.
started making leather, and now he's like selling wallets on Instagram.
Great.
Like
Opening an
$200.
Etsy store.
Yeah, I don't know where does he have this time? He runs like all these
Yeah.
companies, like what? And yet he's
No, the
just
pursuit. I'm constantly in pursuit of the wallet with a pad of paper and a pen in it.
Oh yeah.
And so I've gone through like I'm now going deep into designing this one, which I think is like the right one.
The problem is finding the mini pad, isn't
Well,
it?
so this is the issue. So that Hermes, if you really care,
No, I really do.
Hermes made a little notepad with their pen, and it's fantastic. And of course, it would give you like a really hard time every time you went to Hermes because that's not supposed to be a wallet. I said,
This
no,
is
no.
really embarrassing, but I'm pulling it out so they show. This is one of my drawers, and all it is notebooks I've gotten.
There you go.
From press launches. I'm like obsessed with collecting notebooks. So I know your pen thing.
So the Hermes one was great, but the pads were incredibly expensive. The pen had had a refill that only Hermes has, like no other, and so it became like so fiendishly complicated. I said I can't do that anymore. So I was working with Mark Cho, who owns the Armory. He's got a store in New York called the Armory, and he's as crazy as I am. So we've been designing kind of the perfect version. And then I actually have an interesting one I'll show you. So I'm going.
I'm a huge like notebook fiend.
So
So
you'll like
this
this.
is
So I
gonna
have
be
I have a big overlanding van too, which I think may be on the
like a
Instagram account.
sportsmobile.
Yeah, but it's like my own version of it. There it is.
Really?
You see it there in
Where?
It's right upper right hand. Keep going. Right there.
This?
Yes. So.
Oh my god.
So.
Is it Digicam?
Yes.
Oh, the whole thing is Digicam.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's a Ford E Series van.
Yes.
So is it sportsmobile?
No.
Okay.
But it's my. It's
Who's building this?
No, I built it with a really good friend of mine, and we built the ultimate overlanding. Wow. Look at Cameron's my first light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
That
saw that as
is crazy.
And so I'm
Pretty
going
cool.
on a big overlanding trip, and so I wanted the overlanding version of the wallet with the pen and pad. And so I found this I went to Overland Expo.
Oh shit!
So
Yeah.
so that you know what's really dope is that's a waterproof pad.
Really?
Yeah, and a space pen. So
Wow! Look at this. This is a little. There's a little wallet, and then it opens, and boom! There's a pad in here with waterproof paper and a pen that goes up there.
and
That's
a space
awesome.
and a space pen.
Wait, what's metal? Why is this metal?
Because this company Travex, which I had never heard of, but at Overland Expo, which is as deep and crazy as the pen show, was in June in Flagstaff. And so I went to the Overland Expo and we took Karakaram, the van, which is that van.
Karakaram, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Karakaram. And we took that up there and it was on display. And these guys had like a line at their booth for these wallets.
That is really
And so
neat
like
with
I
the
really
pad.
like that they did a water. So this is not my everyday wallet, but since I'm getting ready to go on this overlanding trip, I said I'm going to try this for a couple of days to make sure.
Is your design going to be kind of like that?
It is kind of like this. I think I'm a suit and tie guy, so it's kind of more of a. I'm sorry I didn't wear a tie for you guys today.
I mean, look at Jesus. I just came off a mountain, so you know. That's cool though, and when you come out with your version of that, I can almost assure you I'll buy one.
Yeah,
I
no,
love those.
it's very nice to have a pen and paper with you all the time.
Totally, especially a waterproof one. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks for coming in, Matt.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
That is a selection of watches that we will probably not see again on this program for quite some time. That was awesome. MFJ20th on Instagram is Matt Jacobson. Follow him, and you'll see him hanging out with us at Bill's in Malibu Country, or Malibu Kitchen and Gourmet. And congratulations to Cameron. He's going to be a daddy.
Yep.
He going to be a daddy. buy a watch from him because now he's got
Yeah.
kids to feed. WeissWatchCompany.com. The new what is it? The new automatic, the new 38, the new
the new standard issue.
standard issue. Sorry,
We're 5 years old now. So we redesigned the standard issue field watch, which is what we initially
There it
launched
is.
with.
there it is. It's right there. It looks
Thinner,
good.
38 millimeters. Changed the dial design a little bit. Just made every little update that I wanted to, and I think it's perfect now.
White on white looks good there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week. Good day.